There we go. We are recording. We are officially live, guys. So just a quick hello and welcome to those of you who have just streamed in. This is the Home Truth, and this is our masterclass on leasehold versus freehold properties. As I was just saying, it is a common topic. But it is one that I feel we're going to be able to add a little bit of value because the expert insight from James and Eric really is quite unparalleled. These guys I've been working with for quite some time now, and they are insane. So hopefully you're going to walk away with some great knowledge, some good takeaways, and hopefully we'll be able to help you make better, smarter property purchases wherever you're at in your property purchase journey right now. So on that note, I would like you to type in the chat box. Can you type in whether you're a first-time buyer or you're looking to buy your first home, you're interested in buying your first property, or if you are a second-time buyer. So either type 1 or 2. So second-time buyer, you might be doing it for investment reasons, just so that we can kind of get a gauge. So in that chat box, click on it and then just type in 1 if you're looking at buying your first property, or 2 if you are a second-time buyer or purchasing for investment. And whilst you do that, I will just tell you a little bit more about our 2 guys that are joining us today. Okay, so we've got a couple of people who are 1s and 2s. It's kind of split at the moment, but we've got James and Eric, who are both from ERA and very established agents. Between the 2 of them, they've got almost 2 decades of experience. I know they look really young and don't look like they've got 2 decades between them, but they are extremely experienced in their fields, and they are in the best place to hopefully get you all the data, the info that you need. James, he is our heart person. He really talks to the people, helping them understand what it is they need, what they want to get out of it, and pointing them in the right direction. Eric, well, let's just say he's our data guy. So if you're looking for numbers, stats, details, like he's got a spreadsheet for everything. So if you don't understand everything that Eric says, it's okay. James can also speak Eric, so he'll help translate that as well. If you've got any questions in the meantime, feel free to enter into the chat box and then we'll address them at the appropriate points. Hopefully we'll get to a lot of your questions later on in the session after we get through our presentation. So hold off, but I will ask you if there's anything else that we can do. Now, today we're talking about freehold versus leasehold properties. Guys, this is an interesting one, huh?
Very interesting. So
very, very interesting. I mean, we've got, taking a look at the responses at the moment, it's kind of like 50-50, but we've got quite a few first-time buyers as well. Second-time buyers, obviously a little bit more experienced. They kind of know what they're looking for, but then the needs are very different too, especially if you're purchasing for investment. So hopefully we'll be able to touch a little bit on that. Before we get into James's first part, guys, I want to hear from you as well. So again, type in the chat box, freehold or leasehold. Which one do you prefer? You can type F for freehold, L for leasehold. I personally, freehold lover. Freehold fanatic. I'm whichever one makes me money. Mark, I like the way you think.
He's a money lover.
He is a money lover. If you like money, just type in M. That also works too. So keep on answering. Freehold, leasehold. We want to know which one you sway, or sort of like which direction you sway towards. And then after our presentation, we'll see if we've changed your opinion or whether you firmly believe in your decision, because that might be what's right for you. James, why don't you kickstart us off today then?
Yes, welcome everyone. Thanks for taking time off this evening to join us. This session is a huge topic, and it's a topic that I have done many times. All right, so let me just get started real quick. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Good.
Perfect.
Give me a moment.
So just while we share that screen and get that going, just a quick recap of what we'll be talking about today. James is going to be discussing a few of the details in terms of which way they go and explaining a little bit more about freehold and leasehold properties in Singapore. Eric is going to be sharing some stats and data for us. Then these guys are going to be giving us their picks. So you'll get to know them and their personal choices before we go into our final summary for today. So that's just an overview of what we're talking about. James, you good?
Yep.
There we go.
Okay, so freehold versus leasehold, let's get started. So this is the eternal question that I get every time. So pre-COVID, every family gathering, I have to do this at least once every gathering. First time with my uncle, then with my cousin-in-law. So every time, at least someone would be arguing with me over this topic. So today, this session, we'll try to keep it as fun, as informative as possible. It will be in 3 parts. First part, I'll just elaborate a bit on the different type of tenure in Singapore. Second part, Eric will share with you guys why he thinks leasehold is good. I will share with you why freehold is good. And at the end of each of our part, we will actually give our top picks for what we think is the best choice right now in today's market for a freehold and a leasehold. Finally, we will end off with the question that many of you are actually curious to find out about: what is better? Is freehold better or is leasehold better? All right, so we shall get started. Okay, so what is freehold and what is leasehold? So there are actually 2 types of freehold. Most of the time we just think that just freehold is just freehold in Singapore, but actually there are actually 2 types of freehold in Singapore. The first type would actually be estate in fee simple. I don't know why they use this big English, but it's just freehold. What you're actually seeing now is actually a land title deed, like ownership search kind of thing. So this is actually from SLA. You can actually get this information through this SLA website. So in the event that you are looking to buy a property, you want to know who the owner is or how big the land is, how is it a freehold title or is it a leasehold title, you just download, you go buy it. I think it costs you $5 or $2.50, $5, and you're able to get all the information here. So if you see over here, state title tenure, estate in fee simple. So estate in fee simple, this is the best form of ownership in Singapore. So this is ownership that is absolute without condition. The ownership will exist for an unlimited amount of time. So this is what all of us get to know about freehold properties in Singapore. Okay. Next, there is another one. If you look over here, it is estate in perpetuity. So this was created sometime in May 1907 and March 1961. So it's also called the Statutory Land Grant. So it was created under the State Land Act of that time, and therefore, properties that are given this title, estate in perpetuity, are subject to the terms, covenants, and conditions of the State Land Act. So these terms, to put it very, very simple, it includes the right of the state to have free access to the land, to take minerals, oil, and whatsoever, but not a very big worry. In Singapore, we're not going to have oil, we're not going to have gold or dinosaur bones underground. So basically, these two, estate in fee simple and estate in perpetuity, are more or less the same thing in Singapore. All right. Okay, moving on. Leasehold. Leasehold, there are many types of leasehold. So a leasehold estate has a definite duration, which will expire after some time. At the end of the lease period, the land will revert to the original owner who granted the leasehold. So if it belongs to the state, towards the end of the lease, the lessees can then apply to top up the lease. So this is a common thing we see during en blocs, where after the developers en bloc all leasehold properties, they will apply to government to top up the lease back to a 99. So this fee is actually known as the differential premium.
That's really interesting. Like that's something that I've always wondered. I've always thought, like, hang on a minute, if a place en blocs, does that mean it only has like 40 something, 50 something years left? It almost seems like such a shame, right?
Yep. So you could always top up the difference for the differential premium. So what are the types of leasehold properties in Singapore? We have the commercial leasehold, which are 30, 60 years. So commercial title broad-based, it's include retail, offices, industrial, warehouses. So commercial properties in Singapore are mostly 30 or 60 years. All right. But of course, there are also commercial properties that are freehold and 99, like HDB shophouses. I'm not a commercial guy. If commercial properties are your thing, speak to Eric. I think he has a B1 industrial, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I have a B1 industrial is freehold. So commercial or industrial, they are freehold 60 and 30 years. So majority are 30 years right now.
And commercial properties are slowly picking up traction because now don't have to pay ABSD for commercial properties. So some of the investors are moving towards commercial properties nowadays. All right. So if that's something you would like to find out more, Eric is your guy. Okay. So next we have the typical, the 99 and the 103. 103 years, bear that in mind, put the back of your head. I'll talk about it later. So 99 years are the most common type of leasehold in Singapore. Almost 80% of our properties in Singapore are actually of this particular type. So we actually see these two projects here, one Park Place in Paya Lebar, Penrose in Aljunied. Both are leasehold 99 years property. Okay, bonus slide. So in China, their residential lease are around 20 to 70 years. So you see a lot of Chinese investors, Chinese buyers coming to Singapore. So when they come to Singapore and we tell them, oh, this is leasehold, only 99 days. Oh, they're very happy. To them, I only get 70 max. Here I get 99, got 29 years bonus. They're very happy with it. But when we tell them,
this makes so much more sense then, because like I remember for the longest time there was so much almost angst, if you would. People saying, wow, all these people from China come in and they buy everything, then we can't buy. Then it's like, oh yeah. But this makes total sense now in terms of understanding why there was that huge influx of foreign investment. Yeah, wow. And I guess it would be a really good deal for them.
So when we tell them, we bring them somewhere else and we tell them, oh, this one is freehold, 永久的. They just, what? Forever? You mean forever it can stay in my family? Like, yes. So that's why to them, to foreigners like them, paying the additional ABSD 20%, 30%, it doesn't matter to them because for argument's sake, in our 999, we more or less would just classify under freehold already. So it can 999 should be able to last more than 10 generations. So I would say it's more or less freehold. But on a technicality, we as agents, we still have to declare if it's 999. Some agents got into trouble when it's 999 and then they tell the person, no, it's not freehold one. So they run some troubles. So technicality is still different, but in Singapore, most of us more or less just lump these two together. So Aspen Heights in River Valley, something I really like is 999. The other one on the right is Key Residences. It's a new launch in Sunset Way, Clementi area. Very peaceful, very quiet neighborhood. Kelly, your place is 999?
No, our place is 49. So we got really lucky. I mean, 49s, I mean, Yongju. I don't even know if we're gonna have generations up to that point. But yeah, I think we're good.
Can last 100 generations.
Your agent good, must recommend to your followers.
Yeah, I don't know where I can find on this kind of agent.
It's like the number here. All right.
It's like, so James actually found this place, and this whole concept of the 49s was a clincher for me because I really do love the concept of freehold properties. You know, for me, growing up in the UK, where when you buy a property, you own it for life. right? Like you're typically born there, you stay there, you die there, you know, there's not too much moving around, especially when you're from like a small town, which I was from, right? And to find a place where I was like, oh, you know, like this will retain its value, not so much like thinking 5 generations down, but even if I'm thinking like for Sienna and Luca, like my kids or their kids, you know, if there's a place where they can come to and know, oh yeah, that's our place, this is our neighborhood, this is where we grew up, without having to worry or have that pressure of moving out. But at the same time, I know I'm not paying like a super huge amount just because it's freehold.
4 nights should be enough lah for Sienna, Luca.
Enough lah,
Should
enough.
be enough lah. So this is the 4 nights. Very rare, really not common in Singapore. We have this in these 2 places. Just now we talked about 999 can last 10 generations. 4 nights can last until the dinosaurs come back already. Really, it's super long, super long. All right. So a special case. So this is another title deed. Don't know whether you guys recognize this. So if you can see over here, we have a land tenure, estate in fee simple, and then over here we have another land tenure, leasehold estate. So it's very confusing. So is it freehold or is it leasehold? So this title deed is actually a title deed for property in the shore residences in East Coast. So what exactly is happening here? Was it freehold or is it leasehold? So this is a classic example. Okay, so this is an example whereby a freehold property, like we see over here, Far East organization made the rare move of selling the shore residences on a 103-year lease. So it acquired the land previously from Rose Garden, a freehold development. They tore it down, en bloc the place, tore it down, rebuilt, and resell it as a 99-year leasehold.
That's so cheeky.
Yes. So just now, remember,
I'd feel a bit conned.
So just now I spoke to you guys regarding the 103. So this is for, if you see 103 land tenure or lease tenure, most of the time it is something like that, whereby a freehold land is being resold as a leasehold property. So you're thinking, yeah, I already take the freehold thing already. I just give you 4 more years lah for the construction. So 99 plus 4, 103.
So I guess almost like if you're buying a leasehold property, right, you almost feel like you're getting a good deal because you're getting the full 99 as opposed to your 99 minus construction. So maybe it's like a 94, 95 years. So
you see, sometimes it's really no choice, like in the case of Spring Grove at Grange Road. So Spring Grove, that piece of land used to be, it's a freehold land that's owned by the US government. It was formerly used as a US diplomatic residence in Singapore, but when they no longer needed it, it was then sold as a leasehold land to CDL to build Spring Grove. So Far East, different story. They are not being forced or whatsoever. They are the king of this. All right. After they did this for the shore residences, then it sold out. Then can do such thing. Or they started doing more and more of it. So they started selling other leasehold properties carved out of freehold sites. So Cabana, Scotts Tower, Greenwood Mills, all these are all leasehold properties on freehold land. All right. So why they do it? Very simple. Legacy preservation for the company. Old school Chinese believe they want to keep it within the company, within the family for a very, very long time. So what are the implications of these? Properties like this are quite difficult to unblock because you think if it's old, the shore runs to maybe 40 years old already and they want to unblock the thing. Who will buy? Would Capital Land or CDL or Guaco Land come and buy over and build it for Far East, since Far East owns the land? Very low chance of that happening. And Far East also would not want that. So the only possible person who will unblock the shore would be Far East themselves.
Wow. And I guess because if that's the case, then there's almost like a price monopoly, right? Like they're not gonna give you an overinflated amount just because they own it anyway. If your lease runs out, too bad, lad, it still belongs to them anyway, right?
Correct. So this is something to take note of if you are looking for properties in these few places. Yeah, try if en bloc is the back of your head, try to avoid places like this. All right.
And if en bloc is at the back of your head as well, don't forget our last masterclass was actually on en bloc. If you would like access to view that masterclass, let us know, drop us a comment, and we'll get that link over to you so that you can go and watch that in its entirety. Okay, moving on.
All right, so this concludes the first part. And now maybe I'll stop share. Eric can take over and share with you guys why he's a leasehold lover, why is leasehold so good. All right.
So whilst we just do that little switcheroo, guys, just a quick reminder, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop it in our chat box and then we can try and address it as we go along.
Okay, so James is correct. I'm a leasehold lover. So all my properties at the current moment of time is leasehold. But in the future, I don't know.
Can you hear that? All my properties. Oh, we talk about my property, all my properties. Okay, then I continue.
Okay, we put that aside, okay? We can settle the difference later. So leasehold properties, generally, they are closer to amenities. They are closer to transport hubs. They are closer to growth areas. I think it is a known fact. But let's see how close it is to the transport hub from the leasehold point of view to the freehold point of view. So you can see this map, right? This map is a URA master plan. So how do you see it? Those who are in orange are basically residential zone. Those who are in light blue, right, are commercial and residential. So this is Kovan MRT station. I think if you live nearby here, right, you know what is this. This is Heartland Mall. The human traffic here is very, very, very high. And there are a lot of schools that's around nearby. So last time I was studying around this area, this is where we did. Don't tell my wife. Okay, so across the road, right, you see this red color zone. This red color is residential with commercial on the first floor. All right, so I have did the liberty to put the small stories on top. Those who have this kind of marking, right, are private properties. So those who have no private properties markings, right, are actually HDBs. We have a HDB here. This is one of the latest HDB. I think it's called Kovan Wellspring, if I never remember wrongly. Okay, so these are the commercial. Behind, right, some of the HDB over here. This is, I think, this sports hub going to be zoned residential. I think eventually will be a government land sale. Okay, and those small plot of lands, right, are actually landed. We have some apartments here. We have some apartments here, over here too. All right. So you can see those who are zoned or highlighted in blue are actually 99 leasehold property. So this area here, right, is actually Kovan Melody. Kovan Melody, TOP in 2006. Over here, right, we have Kovan Residence. This is very, very popular. This is TOP in 2011. I remember during that time, right, it was sold at only $800.50 per square feet at 2008. So that's very, very cheap.
Wow, that's a really good price.
Yeah, cheaper than EC. Of course, this EC is a lot significantly higher. And we have one more here. This is Kovan Regency. Kovan Regency is also 99 leasehold. This TOP in 2016, launched in 2012. I think it's around 1,003 per square feet. And of course, if you are very familiar with the property market right now, this is the latest one, is called Star of Kovan. Star of Kovan is a mixed development, or rather residential with commercial on the first floor. So this is launched in 2016 and TOP in 2020. So you do a comparison. We have some freehold properties here. I think there's Kovan Suites at Kovan, which is freehold. We have some freehold properties here. We have some freehold properties here. So those are all either condo or apartment status, but of freehold status, means fee in simple or estate in perpetuity. You can notice it's a very, very obvious, glaring statement that 99 leasehold land are, number one, significantly bigger. Number two, they are a lot nearer to the Kovan MRT station, as well as the Heartland Mall. So if you are a person who actually needs very high accessibility to malls, transport hubs like MRT stations, or even bus interchange over here, right? Then probably 99 leasehold will be more suitable for you. just a bar tip. Next time, if you were to go and have a drink with the boys, or you have a girls' night out, right? If you can test them, where are your properties? If your property is very, very near to the MRT station, likely they are 99 leasehold.
Eric, on that note, we've got a question from Harman asking about the numbers and the alphabets on the map. What do they indicate?
A very good question. So this is the plot ratio. The plot ratio will determine what is the gross floor area that is being built for this entire piece of land. So indirectly, what it means is how many units can I build here and how high can I build? Okay, so this is the indirect meaning. So number one, why I choose leasehold is because leasehold properties or leasehold condo are nearer to amenities and public transport nodes. Secondly, if you look at this, right, this chart is the average price as well as the volume of the condos in CCR. CCR means a central core region. Where's the central core region cover? They cover maybe Orchard, Bukit Timah, Novena, our CBD, like Tanjong Pagar, City Hall, even Sentosa. So you can see the average price of a 99 leasehold property in CCR, right, is average around $2 million. Whereas if you are a freehold property, your average freehold price is around 3.25 million. So let's take a look at the breakdown of payment and what does it mean to all the purchaser. Right? I know there's a lot of numbers, so there's no need to focus on how do we derive this number, because ultimately, right, if you are very interested or you need some help, right, to click on the link later, you can ask for a consultation. Majority of our purchaser or the people that we went consultation with underestimate how much they can afford. Of course, there are a little bit who overestimate how much they can afford also. Yeah, rarely they are on point. Okay. But I just want to highlight a few things. Number one, if you're choosing a 99 leasehold property, right, the cash and the CPF required significantly will be lower. Secondly, the income required for the 75% loan for the leasehold property in CCR will also significantly be lower. So you just need to take note and remember, if today your household income is around $12,000, for 2 million property, right, you can be granted around a 75% loan. So today's Straits Times, we have seen the household median income is around $10,000 on average for the entire Singapore. So we are not very near for half of the Singapore or majority of the Singapore to qualify to own a 99 leasehold property if they were to buy together. All right. So number two, why do I choose a leasehold property over a freehold is because it requires a lesser down payment and a lesser income for the loan. What does it mean to the consumer? It means to say that if your budget remains the same, you can buy a bigger unit on the same budget at the same district, right? So this will give you a little bit more space if you were to choose a leasehold versus freehold. But of course, there are other variables to price, for example, age of property and how far away are they from the transport node and which district are they in, all right? Okay.
Pause for Eric. I think just now your slide was quite important, whereby the income required. More often than not, a lot of our clients are first-time owners in their early 30s kind of thing. So a lot of them, husband, wife, combined income is going to be around 12, 14. So this would actually be something which is a very the most common income we actually hear about. Those that's at 19, 20,000, those are the higher end earners, not that many around. So I think for most of our clients, early 30s, mid 30s, 99 leasehold with a 2 mil price, average 2 mil price might be a lot more comfortable and attainable for them.
Exactly. And
I think the important thing to note here is sort of there is something for every budget. So don't be afraid when you see like 12,000, 15,000, 19,000. Like, I think we're just drawing a general comparison, and we're also looking in the central core region. So I think you can chill. Don't panic too much if that number looks a little bit off for you. But like we said, if you want to get a better idea for your numbers and what would work for you and get a better understanding there, then reach out to James and Eric. Will be posting their numbers directly, or like I said, you can look on their backgrounds, so that you can actually schedule a chat with these guys. Okay, Eric, continue.
All right. Okay. Freehold versus leasehold. So I'm very happy when Mark asked the question, whichever makes more money. So the very important question is, which one will appreciate more? Would it be a freehold property that will appreciate more, or 99 leasehold property will appreciate more? So
guys, you see Eric's face glow up when he say which will make more money?
Oh yeah. Financial motivation is a very, very strong factor for me when I consider my property.
Yes, correct. 100% agree.
Yeah. So to future-proof your entire generation, I think this is also a very, very big question mark, as well as a very important factor before you purchase your next property, because ultimately, right, you want to stay in the property that appreciate the fastest so that you can upsize it over time. So if you can help me, if you think that freehold will appreciate more, right, type F. Or if you think that leasehold will appreciate faster, type L. Okay, we have Bernard saying freehold.
Aaron saying freehold.
Aaron saying freehold, yeah.
Come on, guys. Kelly, what do you think?
You see, I think freehold has longevity, right? Like, I mean, 永久, right?
Okay, let the cat out of the bag. Let me just show it to you. Which one will make more? In fact, there is no right or wrong answer. It depends on the horizon. Let's see. Okay, so we go back to Kovan again. So we are using two developments, right, for comparison. One is, of course, Star at Kovan, that TOP in 2020. The other one, right, is actually Tryleaf to TOP in 2018. So both of them are considered mid-size development. That is probably around 400 units to 200 units. Okay, let's take a look. So the first one that we're going to go through, right, is actually Tryleaf. So let's say that this person is Mr. 0907 for Tryleaf. So he bought something in 2015. He bought it at 1.58 million. He sold it recently. He sold it at 1.842 million. That's a very decent profit. That's probably around 262,000 over 6 years, approximately 16.6%. Okay, let's take a look. Can Star of Kovan beat Tryleaf, Mr. 0907? So Star of Kovan, right, on the other hand, we have Mr. 0809. He bought it at 2016 at 1.352 million. Very, very recently, just last month or 2 months ago, he sold it in December 2021, right? He sold it at 1.688 million. That is also a very, very good figure. So basically, he earned 335,000 over the last 5 years, a shorter period. And by percentage, right, he earned actually even more. He earned 24.8%. So this is a very glaring figure because there is almost a difference of $100,000. Imagine what can you do with $100,000 over a shorter period of time, and your initial purchase price is lower. But of course, we are not cherry picking data. This is one of the common trends that we see in the entire average. We just want to highlight it out to let you know that actually leasehold condo makes more money than freehold property in the initial years. Later, James will share with you who will do better if we were to stretch the entire horizon to a longer period. All right. So those who type in L, congratulations, you're right, but only for the initial years. So let's do a summary. Why do I choose leasehold condo? Number one, they are nearer to amenities and transport nodes. For rental, they are definitely stronger. Number two, leasehold properties, right, has lesser down payment. I can buy a bigger size unit with the same budget in the same district. Number three, condos that can make more money are the leasehold property in the initial years. So if you wouldn't mind shifting your house every 3 to 5 years, right, actually buying leasehold property makes more sense. All right, I'll hand the slides or the conversation or the topic back to James again. Please, James tells us, why do you choose freehold?
Okay, wait, just before we get to James and we do all of that, I would like to ask you guys at this point, freehold or leasehold, are you still on the camp of freehold or leasehold compared to where you were before we started our presentation? I want you guys to...
Kelly, you're muted. Yeah.
Kelly, you're muted.
There we go. If you want to have a chat with James or Eric, I just keyed in their numbers. So if you want to, you can reach out to them over there as well. Just set up their appointment. If you've got anything that you haven't had answered so far, I'm just going to do a quick recap on some questions that we had, guys, before we jump into the next part of the presentation. Bernard earlier on had asked about Somerset and Orchard being a special case because the apartments nearby, he's saying, are mostly freehold. So when we were talking about that whole leasehold situation, is that sort of like a special case then if we're talking about Orchard and Somerset?
Orchard and Somerset are basically majority of the houses in District 9, 10, 11, not only Orchard, Bukit Timah, Novena, primarily they are freehold by nature because there is a lot of the old rich, if I were to call them, they own a lot of properties. So a majority of them are actually freehold. But of course, there are also exceptions. There are leasehold property, like for example, Amaris 99 leasehold, that has been there for maybe 20, 30 years already. Yeah, they are also leasehold. And when you do a comparison, their leasehold over the initial years do still beat their freeholds.
Cool. Okay, I think that answers that question really well. Anyway, okay, so James, you're going to talk us through the next part now and tell us about your picks. I'm quite excited to hear about this.
Hey, so you've heard Team Eric, Team Leasehold. So Eric, you notice a lot of numbers, a lot of graph, a lot of data. Okay, mine is not. Okay, James, the freehold fanatic. If you remember earlier, I showed you guys the title deed. So it's actually my title deed. So this is actually my house. And this is my title deed, estate in fee simple. So walk the walk, you know. So I stay in a freehold shop house. So this is actually my house. And this is my title deed.
I'd like to attest to the fact that your house is very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So growing up, my parents and relatives always tell me, must buy freehold. The rich only buy freehold. So if you want to be rich, must buy freehold. So I kind of link to buy property, must only buy freehold. So I keep thinking about that. So as all you can tell, I'm very different from Eric. That's why we work very well together. He is the realist, I'm the romantic. So to me, there's a very big difference between a house and a home. A home is where you want to grow your family. It's not something that you actively want to make money off. So when I buy something, when I buy a home, I want to stay for as long as I want to and not be forced out because of lease decay or whatsoever. So I really want to stay for a long time. All right, so that's the main difference between me and Eric. Eric is 3 years, 4 years, make money, move. He'll uproot. In the blink of an eye, he'll uproot everyone, move to the new place. Every 3, 4 years, he'll do it. I am not that kind of person. So see the difference? It really depends on the buyer. All right. So I'm quite risk adverse. Eric will tell you freehold appreciates slower, like his final point. Freehold appreciates slower in the initial years. But I don't care if it appreciates slower. As long as it doesn't depreciate in the long run, you know, ultimately my family will stay there in a period of time, we will be happy. So freehold to me would be a slightly better fit, I guess. All right, I think Kelly is also from my school of thought.
Yeah, and I'm all about not, I think I've moved too much in my life. I've moved way too much in my life. I'm just like, I want to find a place, stay put, and I'm good.
So for freehold properties, these are all facts. So freehold, generally, we have a premium of 20 to 25% over leasehold. Naturally, you own it forever. You are expected to pay more for it. Freehold holds better value over the long run. Disclaimer, long run refers to 20 years or more. Later, we will actually share, I'll actually share a few my favorite graph and to show you why over the long run, initially, yes, Eric will win. Long term, I will win. All right.
So I'm the rabbit, you're the tortoise, is it?
Yes, correct.
Not a competition, guys.
So for freehold properties, you always hear a bit more from the older folks because they are more about wealth preservation, legacy planning. So these are terms which, I mean, it's self-explanatory, but I'll touch more on them later. For people who wants to think long term, all right. And also when it comes to en bloc, freehold development would fetch a higher price. So do note this is a double-edged sword. When I say higher price means basically higher, developer pay more money lah. But with a higher price, it might be more difficult to en bloc. All right. So yes, you might get a higher price, but it might also be more difficult for the developer to pay the money. So more difficult for the en bloc to go through. Okay. Can I? Okay. So next would be James pick for freehold. So if I don't have this house, what would I possibly buy today? So this is actually Foret at Bukit Timah. It's located in the upper Bukit Timah area. It's the en bloc of the former Good Luck Gardens. So it was en bloc by the developer as a freehold, and they very kindly still sell it as a freehold. So you know this is not by Far East already. The developer is not Far East.
I was going to say, so generous, so generous.
So this is actually by Qingjian. It's that Bukit Timah area is actually near the Beauty World Transformation Growth area. So that area, a lot of changes are going on right now, and I think it's quite a good place to be. Just what Eric mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, the first point he said, freehold are not always in the best location. Quite true. This is around 900 meters to the MRT station, the Beauty World MRT station. 3 bus stops. Walking will take you 10 minutes or so. So he's right.
How fast are you going to walk, James?
For me, maybe 5 minutes I can clear it lah.
Wow.
Nowadays. So you see, it really holds true. So Eric is not bullshitting you guys. You know, it really holds true. There are some developments right next to Beauty World MRT, which would be leasehold. All right. So if you want freehold, slightly further away. So why I like it? I think it's pretty undervalued. The price seems quite reasonable for a freehold in a growth area. All right. So I think price-wise, for it, it's quite a good property. Okay. So price reasonable. What is reasonable? Let me just show you an example.
I was going to say, can you tell us exactly what a price is, because reasonable nowadays has kind of escalated a little bit.
So I'm not going to bullshit you guys and say, oh, reasonable, 1.8 million reasonable. No, 1.8 not really reasonable. So
that is definitely not reasonable.
We don't talk about anything that is 1 bedder or 3 beds. We talk about something 2 bed, 2 bath, which is something a lot of young couples would start out with. So this is an actual unit that is actually still available for sale, I hope, because at the point of time it was still available. 0305, 2 bed, 2 bath, dumbbell layout, 743 square feet. Why I like this particular layout is a dumbbell layout is when the rooms are on both sides, like a dumbbell, the weights are on both sides. So you have 1 bedroom here, 1 bedroom here, both bedrooms have its attached bathroom. See, attached master bath, attached bathroom with the common bathroom. For 2 bedder, you have a storeroom, you have an enclosed kitchen. So basically everything that you need in the house, there is. All right. And ultimately it's how much? The price over here, 1.485. Just below 2,000 PSF.
That's not too bad.
For a freehold in the Bukit Timah area, in a growth area, I think it's very fair value. All right, of course, people disagree. Like my dad definitely won't agree. My dad will be like, 2,000 PSF, just reasonable. You know, different people, different thoughts. But for me, someone in the market, this is pretty fair value. Can you agree?
I think so. I mean, given that like for my first place, we had spent quite a chunk of change. It wasn't in a growth area. Yeah, I mean, we paid what, 900 plus for that. It was small, not in a great area,
And
not
that
really
was what,
near amenities.
6 years ago?
And oh yeah, 7 years ago now.
So I
Yeah,
think this
so
one-
I think definitely a lot more value here. Actually, the point you raise about the whole dumbbell layout, I've never heard that term before, but now you see it laid out on a floor plan like that, I'm like, oh, that's actually really nice. Especially like as a young couple, if you have people coming to stay, it means that someone else who is staying is not right next to your bedroom, which is
Exactly.
kind of nice. And if you are going to convert a room into, say, a study because people are working from home, it gives you that nice separation, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, so this is my top pick for a freehold. We have not forgotten. We promised you guys that Eric will also share his. So
Okay, come on then.
This
Lay it on us, Eric.
Okay, so for me, right, I definitely choose Penrose. In fact, I bought Penrose. So
Of course
for
you bought
me-
Penrose.
everywhere, Eric. You bought everywhere.
because there are many gurus out there. Whatever they say, they don't do it. Yeah, so I put my hands where the mouth is.
Money where your mouth is.
Yeah, so I think it's a very decent buy, and I'm very confident it will make money. Firstly, is of course it's very near to international school, so if you want to rent it out, it's very good. Secondly, is in the developing areas. So we have Kampong Bugis transformation. There's a white site coming up. There's also a few plot of land in Mata. So there's multiple exit strategies. So if you are keen to know about exit strategies, right, it's a very, very big topic. So maybe in the consultation, we can share more. And of course,
it's actually something that we'd highlighted quite big on in one of our first master classes when I made my $80,000 mistake. So again, if you want the link to that, where we touched on a little bit about the importance of having an exit strategy, which is something it's a very painful lesson, but one that I've learned. Again, drop us a note and then we will we'll get that link over to you. Okay, Eric, continue. Why do you love it?
And the more important thing is price right. It's priced at 1,006 per square feet. So we have let's say Midtown Modern. Midtown Modern is not very far away, probably 5 minutes drive away. It's priced at 2,006 to 2,008 per square feet. We have on the other side of the east side, Park Esta, the sub-sale is already at 1,008 per square feet. So you have on the left side, you have 2,006 per square feet, which is Midtown Modern. On the right side, you have Park Esta, that is sub-sale at 1,008 per square feet. You're in between, you're 1,006 per square feet. So there is a significant price difference, right, between the market at the current moment of time. But of course, I want to do a disclaimer. Penrose is not as near to the MRT as compared to Midtown Modern or Park Esta, but there is still a very significant gap, which I think there is an opportunity. So that's why I choose Penrose.
Nice. We actually have a question from Bernard again. Pasir Ris 8. Exciting because you raised Pasir Ris 8 and we actually went to go and shoot one of the videos for our upcoming masterclasses at Pasir Ris 8. So it's super beautiful and I'm very familiar with the showroom. It is so nice. If you want to go find out a little bit more, we're actually doing a masterclass, the next one, which will be on why buy now. And I'm going to get James and Eric to touch a little bit on why you need to buy now in a few short moments. But the sign up link is there. If you'd like to join us, it'll be on the 30th of March. But just going back to Bernard's question, is 2K PSF for 99 years leasehold for Pasir Ris 8, is it considered reasonable?
Okay, so for my take, no, not reasonable.
I personally won't buy, or I personally would not pay this amount of money. But of course, I do agree to a lot of consumers that it's an integrated development. Their family nucleus is around this area. For homestay, probably if you buy at this amount, you need a significant time in order to break even using inflation. I personally will not buy Pasir Ris 8 at $2,000 per square feet.
But just a quick one. So this is actually a very headline headliner kind of a news whereby 2,000 for PSF for Pasir Ris 8, but actually actual fact there are only a couple of units towards the tail end of the sales that were above 2,000. The bulk of the sale were around the 1,008 mark. The bigger units can actually get 1,007-ish. So headliner, just a couple. So but moving forward, yes, those that are still selling are all going above 2,000. Whether they can sell or not, we don't know. But to be honest, they are in no great rush. They are sold, I think, a good 70%, and they are still a good 4 years from TOP, so they have plenty of time. At this moment, while we were having this conversation in February 2022, is 2,000 reasonable? We'll say no lah. All of us say not possible. Give ourselves another 1 year. 2,000, is it reasonable? Wow, cheap. So it's all a matter of timing, a matter of perspective. All right. Why has the PSF in CBD? Do you want to address it now, or you want to do it?
If you guys are okay too, let's address this one. I think it is an important point to note, because I think if anyone is shopping around, I think to note PSF prices dropping in the CBD. Mark Das has given the example of One Shenton's 10-year PSF going from now at like 1,700, 1,800. Marina One has already also dropped, but prime area, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to live smack bang in the middle of the CBD? I mean, personally, I wouldn't. So yeah, Mark just clarifying that property is 10 years old. I would not want to live in the CBD. So whatever price it is,
in fact, you're not alone.
But I believe Mark earlier on is looking for investment purposes, right? So therefore, why?
So I'll let Eric talk about the One Shenton part, but Marina One is a very unique development. First and foremost, Marina One, the developer is actually M+S, which is a joint venture between the Singapore government and the Malaysian government. So it happened when they did a land swap with the railway and this plot of land, blah, blah, kind of thing. So first and foremost, yes, correct, exactly, like dual. So these developers, they are not really in need for money. All they want is to just sell out, close the accounts. And the PSF, when it started off, the PSF was very healthy. The drop in PSF started sometime when what's that? Najib was forced down, then Mahathir came back up, because that deal was actually Singapore government with Najib. So when Mahathir came back up, they just want to close the books and sell out everything at whatever price, close everything and just get the money and move on. So recently we see a drop in the price there, but the price did not drop drastically. It's still holding. The sales there are still pretty healthy actually. But that's for Marina One. And with regards to PSF in the CBD, like Kelly say, nowadays with COVID, especially these 2 years, the CBD is being hit quite hard. A lot of people are starting to see that CBD not really a great place to live in. So investment wise, so not that great. So a lot of our clients are actually moving out their investment from the CBD area. So if you are saying that you want to buy in the CBD right now, not sure if that's a super sound move. I would think that there are other alternatives in the nearby vicinity that offers better value for money.
For the One Shenton, right? Because CBD is a very, very special place. I'm not an expert on One Shenton, but I need to go and read the data. But I know that for CBD, right, different facing, if you're facing the bay versus you're facing the city or another building, right, the PSF drastically will change. Secondly is, of course, the floor level. So sometimes for CBD properties, right, we cannot take in totality on the PSF and we divide it as average. So I would think that specific facing or certain layout with a very big balcony normally, or even with a loft, the PSF will drop. Those who are very efficient layout like one bedder, the PSF will be very high. Because I remember I have a colleague who actually transacted very, very recently. He transacted at $2,000 per square feet. Yeah. But okay. If Mark, you are interested to know, right, give us a buzz. We can try to find out more about One Shenton for you.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, can so continue. So next part, the next bit, which is what all of you are here for, which is better? Team Freehold, Team Leasehold, which is better? All I can say is it depends on who the buyer is. So unfortunately, there is no definite answer. I'm sorry, guys. 50, close to an hour of your time, and we still can't give you an answer. So please, please don't exit the Zoom session yet. I will really
I
get
was
to
going
it.
to say flip table, close laptop. No anymore. Just stop talking.
I promise I'll really get to it. So it really depends on you, the buyer, what you want. And let me just share with you something which I draw almost every weekend for my clients. All right, just have a look at this, and I hope things will get easier for you. So you see this graph, this is very similar to the graph that Eric showed you earlier. I'm not too sure if you guys remember Eric's graph, but basically this is how most properties in Singapore grow out to be. Year zero is launch day. Do note that it's not the day you buy the property. It's the day the property is launched, the day that the show flat is being built, the day that developer starts selling, day one of the sale. So that's our day zero. All right. For just like Eric talked to you, I just mentioned about the tortoise and the hare. Yes, a very good example. The leasehold properties are the hare and the rabbit, which at the first 7 years, they run very quickly. Once you hit the 7-year mark, they still increase, but they get a bit tired. They climb a bit slower. And once they hit the 12-year mark, they will more or less just plateau. They will just hover around this line. They will hover, and at somewhere around here, 20-something years, they will start to go on the decline when the lease decay starts to sit in, and when nearby them a lot of other newer developments come out, they will actually feel the burn, the lease decay over there. Freehold, on the other hand, is like the tortoise, slow and steady. They won't grow so much in the first 7 years. They won't grow so much in the first 12 years, but slowly around year 20, they will intersect and they will continue to go upwards. All right, so I will refer back to this later. I hope this is a very simple explanation on what you should buy based on this map. So depending on buyer, age is a very big thing. In the questionnaire that some of you guys submitted, you guys asked about buying something the kids in mind, leaving something there for the kids. So this is my answer to you guys. If you are the older folks, like 50 or above, try to aim for freehold, try to aim for the forever home. So forever home is my definition of forever home is the Amma house lah. Basically, whereby your grandchildren will come back visit you every weekend, that kind of thing. That's your forever home. So
Are you calling me an ama?
are you 50?
No, but I want a home that my kids will come back to.
So that will be the forever. That's so my place definitely. I'm not at my forever home yet. I would imagine my forever. I'll flip this, and a few years later, forever home, that might happen. But why, when you're 50 and above, try to aim for freehold? Because chances are you'll be living in this for a long time. And if it's your life expectancy is 80, 90 years old, chances are you would have to be here for at least 30, 40 years. And when you are around in the 40s, late 40s, early 50s, this would be your last chance to take a bank loan. So of course, if you're very rich, you can don't take loan. But most Singaporeans, most of my clients, they will need to take a bank loan to buy a house. And when you have this age group, this will be your final chance to take a bank loan. So I'll say, since it's a final chance, go buy your final home, your forever home, your freehold. All right. This group of buyers, secondly, we are in the wealth preservation stage. All right. You want to buy something that can hold value over a long period of time, that will not depreciate. So buying something like that would be a more sensible option. So wealth preservation is more for keeping a legacy for the next generation. So those people asking for kids buying long term, yes, freehold would be a better bet based on this drawing, whereby you long time, this part still going up, whereas this part coming down already. So if you want to keep long, yes, please buy a freehold. All right. So I believe your forever home should always be a freehold. Just try to imagine you are 45, you take your final bank loan until age 65. So by age 65, it's fully paid. And then you just stay on. By age 65, you have fully paid freehold property, which you just keep staying on with no lease decay. And then when you pass on or whatsoever, your kids will then have a fully paid freehold property in their name. They can choose to either sell it, split it among themselves, get that money and do something with their life. So this is legacy planning, making sure that there's a legacy of your legacy going to the next generation.
Now, if you remember, guys, at the very start, I told you that James sells heart. And I think he's doing exactly that, selling you like into the lifestyle. But I think it is something that I definitely buy into as well. Like, I think that whole idea of making sure that you're leaving something, that sits very well with me, especially when I think maybe I wasn't thinking about that when I bought my first home, but definitely sort of like now that I've got kids, this is definitely something that I think about.
So I understand that sometimes it can be speaking from a position of privilege. So if you can start a leasehold early, very good. But I mean, if you can start freehold early, very good. But if not, you can always start with a leasehold first. Just try to pace yourself. Make sure that when you are at your 40s, mid-40s, you must be ready to make that one final jump to a freehold. All right. So that's the older folks. Younger folks, younger folks have the luxury of time. All right, they can flip a few rounds of property. On average, our young clients change house every 5 years, 7 years, max 7, 3, 5, 7, around there, they would change their house. And our clients would usually flip at least 3, sometimes 4 properties before they end up with their forever home. All right. So when you're younger, you can YOLO a while longer lah. Make use of bank loans. Make use on leveraging on bank loans. You could always use the bank money to finance 75% purchase. Keep doing it because it's not your money, it's the bank's money. All right. And
just
like
a new rabbit every 5 years.
So just like the older folks are in the wealth preservation stage, the younger guys, they are in the wealth accumulation stage. You would want to accumulate as much wealth as you can in your younger years. So go for the leaseholds, like Eric said, in the initial years, since you're only going to stay there for 5 years or 7 years, go for the leasehold that appreciates a lot in the initial stage. So this way you get more bang for your buck. All right. Next, reason for buying. If you are buying for homestay, and then you just say, hey, I just want, no lah, James, I buy house not to invest on. I just want to stay. If you're going to stay for a very long time, like 10, 12 years, just go and buy a freehold. Don't have to discuss it. End of discussion, just buy a freehold. All right. But if you're only looking to stay for a short time, so no, I'm just going to stay here until I need to move my next house because my kid is going to primary school or whatever. It's going to be a 5-year thing. Yeah, again, buy a leasehold because like Eric mentioned, short term, initial leasehold makes more money. So you want to make some money out of the homestay. All right. For investment standpoint, it's a no-brainer. Really, just buy leasehold lah. Like Eric said, initial make more money. So the whole point that what Eric and I do, we buy here, reach somewhere 3 years, we sell, go back here again, repeat. Because we just want to enjoy this steep climb. We don't even want to enjoy the slow climb. We want the steep climb. So investment wise, just keep repeating this part. 3, 4 years, 5 years, go back to 0, 3, 4 years, go back. Just keep enjoying this. Make your money work the hardest for you. So for investment, just buy leasehold. Capital appreciation is better. You know, it's a lower, like I would say, it's a lower upfront payment. Rental yield is better. Why rental is better? Because your tenant is not going to pay you more money just because it's a freehold property. So same location, freehold, leasehold, same rental amount, but it costs you a lot lesser to buy the leasehold, your rental yield is definitely better. All right. Normally at this stage, my uncle, this kind will argue, but what if I want long-term investment, 10 years? Isn't freehold better? Then I'll tell him, uncle, if you are looking for such a long-term, such a long runway, 10 years kind of investment thing, don't buy property lah. Property investment over 10 years, it's a very long, because property is not a very liquid thing. You want to buy something that is more liquid over 10 years. So the question is, if you want to buy something more liquid over 10 years, buy what? Buy Rolex. Oh. This article just came out.
Wait, hello, friend. Are you holding watches on the side?
February 12, 2022. Yes, long-term investment in Rolex outperform gold and real estate. So if you want to hold something 10 years, you buy Rolex.
Suddenly, James becomes a Rolex seller.
Yes.
James, you got any money to lend me to go buy another Rolex?
Kelly, are you not listening? Who is the rich one here? Me or Eric? Hello?
Eric?
All right. So the final point is actually the period of holding. So this is a very quick summation of it. So if you want to hold for 3 years, normally when people hold for 3 years, these are the investors. This is the Erics. They want to just buy anything that's leasehold. Try to buy new launch, buy year 0, year 3, you sell. 3 year, and keep repeating that same cycle, 03, 03, 03. Keep doing that. So these are for 3-year people. The 4 to 7-year people, these are the people who are I want to stay, but I also want to invest. I also make money out of it. So these are people I want the cake and eat it kind. They want best of both worlds. The difficult to serve kind of people. So for them, it's better to buy new because you don't know when you want to sell and you don't know how long you want to stay for. So it's better to buy something new. You buy a new launch 0, you wait for the TOP 3 years, you stay for another 4 years, 7 years, you can sell, just nice. Or if you're not going to stay there, you can rent it out for 4 years or so and sell, just nice. All right. You can also buy resale, perfectly fine, but buy something new. Buy it so new such that at the point of you selling, important, at the point of you selling that freehold, that leasehold property, make sure it's still within here. Year 10, don't take all the way to 12, very dangerous. 10. Make sure by the time you stay and you sell, at the point of selling, it is still within year 10 of launch. All right, very important. I cannot stress the importance of this. Okay.
I can also attest to this. Yeah.
Okay, so for those people who wants to keep 7, 10, a longer runway, like for myself, these are people who don't like changes, like me, don't like to move. Buy freehold safer, because even if you don't move, you don't lose money. But try to buy.
Don't put in the queue.
Someone talking. But try to buy a newer freehold so that you don't have too much maintenance issue. Okay, the final one would be the diamond hands lah. We call it diamond hands, more than 10 years one, resist changes. They just want to buy and keep it, just accumulate. Buy freehold. No questions asked, just buy freehold. So this is a very simple chart for you guys to see where are you, or rather what are you? Are you the 3-year person? Are you the Eric? Are you the 4 to 7? Those who wants a bit of both? Are you the James, want a whole long time one? Or you are the really asset rich one, want to keep everything for 10 years and keep long don't sell kind? So this would actually help you decide what to buy is better. Okay, so we are on time. We are slightly above 1 hour. So this is more or less the end of today's session. There are some questions. These are all the questions. I believe we answered some of them in this whole session already. But it's quite hard to answer all of them. So we got your number, we got your questions. We will touch base with you very soon in these couple 1-2 days, and then we will answer your question. Don't worry, no obligations. We won't force you to buy anything. So we'll just
We are actually here to educate you and to help you with your questions. Now, before we do go though, Eric, sorry, James, we do have a couple of questions from Harman and TC, which I would like to address. So Harman had asked about the age of a freehold property impacting its price. And I think you had semi-touched on that just now when you talked about sort of like age duration. So if you go back to your last slide in terms of like the period of holding, and sort of your recommendation to buy a newer freehold property.
Wait,
but I think Harman would like to know sort of if there are buyers of a 40, 50-year-old freehold property. I think sort of I might weigh in here and say that if a property is generally older and it's freehold, if you are going to buy an old property, chances are you will likely need to tear it down and redo it. Which will incur extra cost. So I think you'd have to, but unless you're fine with the shell and then you just gut the inside, which is what we had done to our place, because we couldn't do anything with the upstairs area, I think that's also an option. But like I said, ours not technically freehold.
So Haman, there are definitely going to be buyers of 40, 50-year-old freehold properties because like me, there are always going to be freehold lovers around. It's just that there are not going to be a lot of them because in Singapore, a lot of us have the ability to buy something which is $1 million-ish, because we can take a bank loan, but a lot of us don't have the money to renovate. So that's quite a significant number of us that finances are quite tight. So 40, 50 years to gut everything down like Kelly. I think Kelly spent like what, 200, 300K?
Spent about 300, yeah.
Down to
and that was probably the most painful thing about the purchase, because that's not something that we could sort of get a huge loan for. So that was a huge chunk of change out. Okay, so hopefully, Harman, that answered your question. Then TC had asked, which will appreciate better generally in the short term, a resale EC at 5 years MOP or 5-year condo, or a newly launched freehold?
Okay, I think this is a very interesting question, and it was deliberately left out new launch, new. If given a choice, definitely new launch or some resale condo that is relatively younger. I'm not so sure why you put 5 years. So there are resale condos which TOP probably 1 or 2 years in potentially growth areas, right? Or the new launch in potentially growth areas. I think they are very, very good choices because in the very near term, right, there'll probably be some plans out, or there'll be a transformation in the area. If I were to choose your options, right, resale EC at 5 years, MOP, 5 years condo, or newly launched freehold, right, definitely I will choose a 5-year condo in a growth area. Because most of the ECs, probably they are not in the growth area. And newly launched freehold primarily bought for wealth preservation because they are freehold in nature. So if you're given a choice, I will choose 5-year condo. But if let's say there's no choices, I think that a resale condo that is very, very young or a new launch condo, right, will be the safest bet to make the most amount of money in the short term.
Perfect.
I hope I answered the question.
Cool. Thank you very much, Eric. Now, what I've just done is I have also just reposted our sign up link for our next masterclass happening on the 30th of March. I want to touch on this just before we go because it's quite important. And it has been in the news a little bit recently, guys, hasn't it, about the volume of properties available? Because I think it's all fine and good that we're talking about all of these new launches available, but the problem is people are keen to buy, but volume is not increasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have been wondering what to do with their money because they haven't been traveling as much. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do crypto or buy a Rolex, sure. But a lot of people have been thinking about dabbling in property, which I think is really why we're trying to educate people as far as we can on helping them understand more about the truth in the property market and where money is to be made and where we can help you avoid losses or making bad decisions through ill management. So if you'd like to join us for that masterclass about why buy now, the sign up link is right there. James, Eric, just weigh in quickly about why you should be buying now.
So like we are seeing a lot of news in the market saying our sales volume is dropping, blah blah blah. Yes, sales volume is definitely dropping compared to January, February last year. Compared this year, the volume has dropped significantly. But please don't confuse sales volume going down as sales prices going down. They are two completely different things. All right. So yes, sales volume might go down. Investors might be spooked and stop buying so much. Foreign buyers might not buy so much with the high ABSD, but that doesn't mean prices would go down. So Eric and I, we have a recent client that check was prepared, unit chosen, about to just sign off already. Then the cooling measures came in. Then he called me, say, "Hey, my father say, wait a while, he think prices will come down, developer will come down." So it's a very common thing. They think that now nobody will buy, sales volume go down, developers must still sell out. How? Drop price. So it's a very simplistic way of thinking, but actually, if we were to rethink of it very logically, we hear about manpower, labor going up. We hear about with COVID, raw materials, all this is getting very difficult, so prices are going up. Then we also hear about government land sales getting more and more expensive. So if construction cost goes up, land cost goes up, is absolutely no way the developers can actually sell things lower, even though they can want to earn lesser money, but they still can't go below their base cost price, because end of the day they are a business. They can't sell lower than their cost price. So I would say it's really no point to wait to buy if you are actively looking to buy. And with a lower supply, with a lower shortage of houses in the market, which we talk about it in our masterclass, the later you come in, the lesser choice you have.
And I think supply and demand at the end of the day, supply and demand. Eric, do you have any closing words for us?
Okay, I think the entire market right now is in a very special position because we have a lot of opportunities right now, but it will only be within these 1 or 2 quarters, because after that, the market recovers, everybody starts buying again. So we see opportunity. Right now, the buyers' bargaining power is a little bit stronger compared to November because of the cooling measures. I think there is opportunity between these 2 quarters. But after that, right, probably you have to fight with the developers or the sellers or even the HDB owners again. So join us in the masterclass. We'll elaborate you with statistics, facts, and James Boey will touch your heart on how or why you should buy now.
Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been really insightful. Like every single time I talk to Eric and James, I learn something new, and hopefully you did too. If you have any friends or family members who you think would benefit from the information you have got today, we'll be emailing you guys with the link to this. Feel free to share it around. Okay, we just want to try and educate as many people as possible. So and basically tell them the truth, the home truth, and nothing but. James and Eric will be in touch. I know we do have a couple of questions unanswered. I know TC, you had a couple of additional questions. The guys will be in touch. This is a this is not a sales pitch call. I just want to re-emphasize. It's just to make sure that you guys are getting all the information that you need. You'll be able to glean further information specific to what you need. And if there's anything at all that we can do to help you guys, please reach out via social media channels, drop us an email. Just make sure that you sign up for our next masterclass. You can also share the next masterclass link with whoever you want, the more the merrier. But I think the most important thing is it's a really cool topic. Why buy now as opposed to holding off? I think there's a lot that we can discuss, and I'm sure there's plenty that you and myself can learn along the way. But for now, we're going to sign off. James, Eric, thank you so much for sharing all of that knowledge. And thank you to everyone who's joined us again this evening. Super excited to hear all of your questions, and hopefully we manage to answer as many of them as possible. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Stay safe, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Mark.